So we have this. All right. Okay. So today we're talking about life after this weight loss phase. What does that look like? And then I know a lot of you guys are really curious about what it's going to look like once you don't have that structure of, everything laid out for you and how we can keep the weight off, because that's really what we want, right? We didn't go through all of this work to lose it, just to gain it back. And so we're going to give you those top tools. So they're really basic. They're really about what you're doing right now already. All those habits that you're practicing, we're helping you to become, to make them habits ingrained in your mind, that those are things that you can do for the rest of your life. So these are the top ones that I could think of. And if anyone else thinks of any other, let me know. But eating within an hour of waking up. Don't go back to the habit of waiting till lunch to eat. Fuel your body, get your metabolism going within an hour of waking up. I'll add to that, I always have a big glass of water right next to my bed, chugging a big glass of water right when I wake up. That's an early morning habit that I have gotten in and I stay in. That's really healthy for you. Also, eating every 3 hours, balanced meals. So the times that you are eating right now on the program, those are your times. Those are the times that you need to fuel your body for the rest of your life. And yes, those times may change depending on your schedule, but as long as your schedule stays the same, those are your times that you need to fuel your body. So don't think that that's just while you're losing weight. That's the key to keeping your weight off, is fueling your body every 3 hours, something balanced, carb protein balance. The next one that I thought of is drinking your water. So you guys are just really working on your water right now. That helps with weight loss, but it also helps with maintaining. Keeping yourself hydrated is going to help with hunger and cravings, keep those at bay. Kind of helps keep you full so you're not snacky, but it really helps detox. There's so many benefits of water, as we've been learning. Sleep is really important. Studies show, especially with women that are sleep deprived, have 40% lower metabolism. So if you go back to, not going to bed on time or not getting your sleep, watching TV late into the night, that's going to affect your metabolism. So make sure you keep getting your skinny sleep, even into, as you age, from years from now. That's important. Okay, the next one is exercise. Chantel mentioned always exploring new options for exercise. But if you are at least 2 weeks into your program and you're not exercising, have a little chat with your health coach and talk about what would be a good fit for you right now. A lot of times that's just walking. Starting 10 minutes of walking is a great place to start every day. Or taking the stairs, being more active in your everyday life. We call those NEAT activities, where you're just burning more calories intentionally, but not actually doing a formal workout. Parking farther from the store, standing up when you're on the phone, just trying to be more active. But if you're not exercising, when you start transition, we for sure want to get you on an exercise program, because exercise is not the secret to weight loss, but it really helps with keeping your weight off, with maintaining. It gives you that buffer, a couple extra 100 calories buffer that you've burnt kind of helps you to be able to maintain your weight. So, talk to your health coach if you haven't started exercising. The next one is managing your stress. So we've all been through stressful times in our life, and we're learning right now how to manage that, how to recognize those triggers, how to not turn to the junk food when we're stressed. But once you're in that optimization phase, that's where you really have to be more mindful, because you don't have that specific goal in front of you of weight loss, but really recognizing those, learning to manage your stress, meditation, finding other ways besides food to manage your stress, because we will all go through hard times in our life. And it's so easy to go back to those bad habits, what was comfortable when you go through a stressful time in your life. So start working on that now so that you're ready for those times and you have the tools to be able to get through those without turning to stress eating. Does anyone have any questions at all about those habits? All right, if so, take yourself off mute. So those habits, we like to call those the high fives. So that's easy to remember. Your 8 hours of sleep, drinking your water, eating 6 small balanced meals, being mindful, and exercise. So I like to ask myself, at the end of the day or at the end of the week, what of those 5 habits am I not doing very well? What can I do better? So those are the 5 key habits to keep in mind for the rest of your life. All right. We have all learned, kind of why we're eating the 6 small meals a day. If you haven't learned that, this kind of explains it. There's been lots of studies that show that 6 small meals is more beneficial than 3 large meals. So that's something we want to continue doing for the rest of your life. So you're going to be less hungry. It's really going to help keep your inflammation at bay, your cravings, your hunger, lots of benefits for that. So I just want to go over glycemic index really quick. It's really nice. On the program, you don't have to think about that. It's already macro balanced for you. But you are learning with your lean and green meal what vegetables are the best low glycemic vegetables. So that's really educational. So all the things that you've been eating during the weight loss phase, keep eating those most of the time. Those are like your go-to veggies. But you're going to start adding other foods in. And this is just good to know what foods spike your blood sugar more. So green means go. Anything here in the green, those are the foods you want to eat most often. That means that your blood sugar will spike less by eating this types of food. So a glycemic index is basically just how your body measures sugar, like your food as sugar. So 100 would mean that it's pure sugar in your body, and 0 is nothing. So for example, in the green, these are very low glycemic. These are less than 30 on the scale of 1 to 100. But as we get up to, like, for example, cooked carrots, if you can see in the orange, it's 80 if they're cooked. If they're raw, it's only 30. So your body, it releases a lot more sugar if you cook a carrot. So that's just good to know. Like, raw carrots are better for you than cooked carrots as far as keeping your blood sugar balanced. So keeping in that green area most of the time. Red doesn't mean you can't have it, but those are more occasionally. And then orange, just be cautious with that. So kind of like the stop sign. Let's see. I'm going to mute everyone. There's someone with some background noise. Okay. So if you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself and ask that. So after you transition, this is kind of a good go-to. I like to just even write up a list and put it on my fridge or somewhere that I can see it. So I remember when I go grocery shopping, these are what I stock up on, especially those proteins, because proteins are harder to come by. They're not as portable. They're not as easy as carbs, healthy carbs. So just making sure you always stock up on healthy protein options. Eggs, yogurt, cheese, nuts or nut butter, lean meats, beans, cottage cheese, proteins, and of course, your meal replacements. That's probably one tip that I will give you is always keep meal replacements on hand. You won't be eating 5, but you're going to be busy. You have energy. You're going to be continuing to do busy things in your life, and you want to have easy, portable things that are healthy for you on hand. So some days I eat 5 meal replacements a day and a lean and green because I'm so busy. I keep this cupboard full of my bars and easy snack things that if I'm working, I can just grab something and eat. I don't have to get up and go make something, and it keeps me on schedule. Or if I'm in the car, I can grab a bar with me. If I'm traveling, I don't have to eat out. I can just take some snacks with me. So that really helps. Some days I have more time and I'll go and fix, some yogurt and berries, or a whole grain piece of toast and some eggs. So basically you're just taking one thing from each side and pairing it together. So really quick, anyone on here that is in that optimization phase or a coach, tell me what some of your favorite protein carb snacks are. And you'll have to unmute yourself.
I have one that my sister taught me.
What's that?
So having an apple with like a peanut butter Greek yogurt dip mixed, or Greek yogurt mixed dip. So basically taking like that plain Greek yogurt and mixing it with a little bit of peanut butter. There's actually, the ratio is there's like a lot more Greek yogurt than peanut butter, so that it cuts down on that fat. But then you have, that protein, and with that carb, that apple, to kind of dip, and it's delicious.
I love that. Yep, that's an easy thing. Also, I love to mix salsa with cottage cheese because then you got some protein in there with it, and I dip veggies in that. Anyone else have any favorite carb protein snacks that they like? Janae has one. I can tell. Oh, Janae, you're next.
Oh, sure. Okay. Can you? I
yep,
don't know if
I can hear you.
or not. Okay. So no, I love string cheese. I'm a big fan of string cheese. So I usually will have string cheese and like half an apple or a few apple slices. Not, I usually don't eat a full apple if it's a really large apple. So if it's a really small apple, I might. Otherwise, I'll just have half an apple and a string cheese.
Love that.
That's probably my favorite.
Good. Let's see. Was somebody else sharing one also?
That was me.
Yes, Karen. What do you love? Since you're at
One of my
Costco.
favorites is I'm at Walmart actually.
Walmart.
But I do cottage cheese and peaches.
I love that.
Or some kind of fruit in my. Someone's helping me find something. She was talking about the Greek yogurt, so it's almost like it's just a little bit of oh gosh, I can't think of it. Cool Whip, like low sugar Cool Whip. Mix that in with your apple, with your Greek yogurt. It's a great apple dip.
Oh, I haven't tried that. Perfect.
Really
Yeah, I love
good.
sharing these ideas. And, we could even share these in our client group, some of your favorite optimization snacks. So just, if you do share some, just say, after 5-in-1 or after weight loss, these are some of my favorite snacks. So I love that. Even mixing some cottage cheese with yogurt, Greek yogurt. My kids always mix cottage cheese with yogurt, so it's not like as sweet. Or even putting a little sugar-free Jell-O in with some cottage cheese. That's kind of a sweet treat there. We do a lot of hummus and veggies, or so many things. Basically, anything from this list, pair it together, and you got a great snack. Let me talk about the carbs, for example. Being really mindful of what carbs you're adding in. That's one thing that I found after weight loss, is being really cautious of carbs. I didn't eat as much bread. I didn't eat as much, of those high carb things. I stick with more kind of what I ate during weight loss, lots of veggies, protein, adding in some fruit, some of the lower carb things. So be picky about those carbs. Like, don't just eat bread every meal. Like, only eat your favorites. If you don't love noodles, for example, I love zucchini noodles. So I still will always eat zucchini noodles. But I love to have a piece of French bread occasionally, so I'd rather have that carb. Like, I'll only eat one carb in a meal, and usually only like one piece of bread a day. I don't eat a lot of bread just because I know that those are empty calories. But when you do choose to eat bread or carbs, look for something healthier, a whole grain. So low-carb tortillas, there's some great low-carb ones. Mission makes a low-carb. It has protein and low carbs. I think there's an Olay brand also at Costco. They're like 50 calories, only a few carbs, 5 carbs, and then they have a lot of protein in them too. So just kind of being pickier about what breads and carbs that you do eat is going to make it a lot easier for maintenance. Whole wheat, whole grain, whole wheat toast. Same with crackers. Don't eat like the Ritz crackers. Look for like a whole grain cracker. Be picky, because you're still fueling your body, still taking care of your body. You want to choose high quality things. So any other suggestions? This is one thing that a lot of people like to hear, just what people eat.
I have a suggestion as far as kind of going along with what you're talking about. I loved your video that you did today, Liz, with healthy snacks. You're live on Facebook. Healthy snacks for your kids. And it's so true that, like, one of the things that we teach going into maintenance is, or through transition, and when you go into maintenance, to not go back to those habits of like picking at your kids' snacks and stuff like that, because then we're gonna be falling back into those ways and putting back on some of our weight. And so I like that you are shopping for healthy snacks for your kids, because if we do have like only Ritz crackers and just whatever else, less healthy options at home, then that's going to be our go-tos to grab and go, which is another reason I love the Fuelings to have as an option. But yeah, trying to start substituting out and making healthier swaps for your kids, so that it's like a whole family, thing where you're living a healthier lifestyle together. And it's going to be easier for you to maintain your healthy weight and that healthy mindset and your goals, if you're not the only one in the house doing it.
Yes. I'm glad you said that, because that's so important. A lot of times we think that because our kids aren't overweight or they're still young and they're active, that they don't need to eat healthy. But the greatest gift that you can give your kids is teaching them to have a healthy body, because that is their vehicle to live their best life. And so teaching them at a young age by making it a family thing. Don't go and buy things that you'll be tempted by to have in your house, but also that's not serving them. And so making those swaps. Sometimes it's hard to swap it out all at once. And so pick the things that's kind of bugging you the most. For me, my kids love white bread. And I used to buy the Grandma Sycamore's white bread. And then it just bugged me. Every time I went to the store and I'd buy that, and I'd like hope that nobody saw that I had that in my cart. Like, that's a trigger. Like, I probably shouldn't be buying this. And so I switched. Now we buy whole wheat bread. And my kids did not eat bread for like a month. They all threw a fit. They hated it, but I kept buying it. And now they all eat it just fine. Like, sometimes it just takes that transition period. So start with the things that you know, like sugar cereal, white bread, like those things that those are easy swaps, especially one at a time. Soda, that's a huge thing. Like, to teach your kids, we don't drink our calories, we don't drink sugar. So I never buy soda. Like, if that's what they want for their birthday treat, instead of cake, we'll have like root beer floats or something. Like, that's a rare occasion that my kids will drink soda. I just don't, it's not something that we have in our house. They know, water is our go-to drink. So it's just all about, what you're teaching them that's going to help you stay on track when you're teaching them, and you're the example to them. So it just starts with little things, having things available. My kids love lettuce wraps more than sandwiches. And so, like, even for breakfast, don't feel like they have to eat breakfast foods. My kids always want lettuce wraps on the way out the door to the bus. It doesn't have to be like cereal or pancakes. It can be like some hummus and veggies in a bag. It can, so as they learn to like these healthy things, start incorporating those more. So it's a journey. It's not going to happen overnight. It's just, that's why I love coaching, really, is because it teaches me, how to be better and how to teach my kids to be better. So, Vicki, you have something you want to share?
Oh, just that you were talking about going through the grocery store. And I was thinking how good it is to turn the boxes over or to look at the nutrition panels when you're in the grocery store. And look how much protein it has. Look how many carbohydrates it have, how much fat it has. There are remember that you're just kind of trying to match your proteins and your carbohydrates. And it's a good indication if you have something that has 36 carbs, maybe you want to find something that has less. Or, there's yogurts. When you're looking at yogurt is one of those tricky guys. And when you look in the back for yogurt, look for things that are much closer for your protein and your carb. And your carb minus fiber is what you look for your carb. So that's all. I was just thinking.
Yeah. Thank you, Vicki. I'm glad you said that, because that's so important. Is not just to be mindful of like how much you're eating and how often, but fill your mind with things that are going to serve you, like education, learn and if you don't know, that's totally okay. Reach out to your coach, have them teach you about a label. But like Vicki said, we're wanting to get as close as we can to proteins and carbs. And it is really hard in maintenance to have that exact. You probably won't often have it exact. Usually the carbs are a little higher, but make sure they're a healthy carb. But as often as you can, have them paired up, and so it doesn't mean that you can't ever have a cookie or you can't ever have dessert or the things that you love. But when you do, it's about being mindful. Okay, I'm not going to eat that until it's time to eat. That's one big thing, is staying on your schedule. Don't start snacking in between meals. Only eat when it's time to eat. So let's say someone brings cookies over and you really want a cookie. Okay, I'm going to think about that. I want a cookie. I'm going to have that. It's not time to eat for half an hour. I'm going to have one cookie and I'm going to have a bowl of cottage cheese. That's adding some protein, being mindful, enjoying that, not feeling guilty, not feeling like you have to eat the whole plate because you're going to start eating healthy tomorrow. And if you decide you want another cookie, it might be that you have one in 3 hours on your next fueling time, or choose something healthier. So it's really about intuitive eating, like not just out of reacting and eating junk, but like really thinking about if that's something that you really want and how to eat that smarter and in moderation, not all day, every day. So thank you, Vicki. And like she said, you look at the carbs and you minus the fiber. So if it has 30 grams of carbs and 5 grams of fiber, then that would be 25 grams of carbs that you're counting. And so you'd want something to be close, as far as protein to that. But as far as a snack in between a meal, I shoot for at least 6 grams of protein for in between snack, like a cheese stick and egg that has about 6 grams of protein. Let's see, Alina raised your hand. Share with us, Alina.
Yes, I just want to say we still use Stop Challenge Choose. That's not just something that we learn during weight loss, but for our whole lives. Okay, I'm healthy. What is a healthy person going to choose? You know, stop, challenge, and choose. So just like Liz was describing with, you know, when you are having a cookie or something like that, you know, you are stopping and challenging because you might still have that reaction of like, oh, I want to eat, you know, the whole plate of cookies. They look so good, you know, and you still will use stop, challenge, choose always to say, oh, what does a healthy person do? What am I doing now? Okay, I'm going to have a protein with this. That's going to help me feel full. I'm going to eat the cookies slower and I'm going to enjoy that. I'm going to put the rest of them out of sight and package them up and put them, you know, in the cupboard or something. So they're not out on the counter for me to see. And I'm going to set myself up for success because I am a healthy person now. So I just wanted to say, stop, challenge, choose is still going to be a big part of your healthy lifestyle, and it works great.
Yes, that's so true. Thank you. And like Alina said, like get them out of sight. Don't bring things in your house that you're going to be tempted by, because you know, it's not about willpower, it's skill power. Have the skills to stay on track. You know, and that might mean like not buying the junk because you don't want to, you know, be in a place that you're tempted. Like it's better to just have a safe environment in your home that you're not always tempted, you know, that you're having to white knuckle through the day. So thank you. All right. One thing that I love is now when you transition, I really like my clients to track their calories, like with MyFitnessPal, once they finish that 4 weeks of transition, just so they can see about where they are, how much protein they're having, how many carbs. And you guys, like your body has a set weight that it was probably at for a long time before you started the program, that it was comfortable at. And now that you're at this new weight, it's naturally going to want to go back to the old weight. Unfortunately, you have to reset that comfortable weight for your body. So just being really, really, really mindful, probably for at least 6 months, but at least tracking your calories for like a good month to make sure you're on track. Your body will readjust to that comfortable weight and it will want to stay there, and it will be easier to stay there. But if you just finish your weight loss journey and then you're not very mindful, your body, it's so easy to kind of creep back up there. So just kind of know your body's resetting too, and that takes a little bit of time. So once you finish transition, I love like just tracking your calories, going over that with your coach, really staying more accountable with your coach, even more than when you're on 5 and 1, because that's when you need more help. Checking in, monitoring your weight often, like making sure that you're not creeping back up, and give yourself about a 3 to 5 pound wiggle room area. Once you hit that 5 pound mark, that you gain 5 pounds, reach out right then. Don't wait till it's 15, 20, 25. That's way harder. You know, if you reach out at 3 to 5 pounds and just let them know the scale's kind of creeping up, can we go over my food log? Let's kind of like see what I need to change. That's so much easier. And your coach is your coach forever. Don't feel bad. Don't feel like you can't reach out, you know, after you're done with the weight loss phase. But one thing I like to do is remember the 9-inch plate. The government uses it now. They actually got it from our program 30 years ago. We've been using this system instead of the food pyramid for 30 years or more. But it's awesome. What you want to do is, instead of the giant plates that everyone has, I went and bought some 9-inch plates, and they're smaller. I bought them the color blue because that actually triggers your mind, more calming. You're going to eat less when you have a blue plate versus a red plate or a yellow plate. And then just always being mindful of your plate. Fill half your plate with vegetables. Sometimes I put fruit on there, but most of the time I like half a plate of veggies, a quarter with lean protein, and a quarter with a healthy starch. And sometimes I do not add a healthy starch. Don't feel like you have to. Sorry. I'm getting over a sore throat. Sorry, I got a little bit itchy. So Vicki, why don't you tell us about this really quick while I have a coughing fit?
Okay, this is wonderful. So you don't have to always be, you know, when you are out at, when you're outside and you're dining, when you're dining out, these kind of things too. You look at how many vegetables, how big is the protein, all those kind of things where you can, you've already gotten used to this. one of the fun things to do is keep going on the healthy meals that you've learned how to prepare. They can be just like this rock in your health program. When you find things that you really love to eat and that is easy and your family likes, those kind of things are great. And you know what? They fit this. It fits this thing. It fits it. And so it is just moving from what you know into your everyday life. And like I said, keep working on those, on the foods that you really like, the lean and green meals that you have already learned to love. And then you can add the starches and things if you want to. You don't have to.
Nope. Thank you, Vicki. Thanks for saving me. And that was perfect. I like that she said you don't have to add a starch. Most nights I do a lean and green at night, no matter what. If I'm trying to lose weight, if I'm just being healthy, like that's my go-to. I feed my family lean and green as often as I can. I usually add a healthy carb in for them, like a potato or roll, but trying to stick with your lean and green habit at night, just so that your body is not storing up a bunch of carbs before you go to bed. Because what happens is if you have too many carbs for your body, like your glycogen storage is already full, then it stores some to your muscles and the rest it just tucks away into your fat cells. So if you have a bunch of carbs at night, guess where it's going? Your hips. It's going to get packed away. And so for me, I love to do my carbs earlier in the day. Like if I'm going to have a piece of toast, that's for breakfast, or oatmeal. So past lunch, I try to stick with lean and green. So even fruit, I try to do fruit earlier in the day, breads earlier in the day, so that by night I've burned off those carbs before bedtime. And so one thing that a lot of people get in trouble is a lot of people crave the sweets at night. That's when they have the big bowl of ice cream or the treats once the kids go to bed. So really be mindful of that, because that's where you get into trouble. That's when your body is going to store the most fat. So maybe you love the brownie, or I love the hot cocoa. That's my sweet treat at night, because I know that that's not getting stored as fat. That's just going to keep my metabolism going into the night. So that's kind of my go-to thing. If you love sweets at night, stick with your Optavia meal, or maybe a Greek yogurt or something like that, but just really be mindful of late night snacking. So did anyone have anything else to share about that? All right. One quick tip is buffets. I hate buffets. So try to avoid buffets at all costs. That's where you get into trouble, because you start at one end and everything looks good. By the time you get to the end, your plate's full of like usually carbs, right? So if you do go to like a potluck or a buffet, then what I like to do is like just walk down and pick out what I'm going to have before I start. So I look, okay, what vegetables are there? What proteins are there? What maybe one carb am I going to choose? Or a little bit of a few. But if you start at the beginning and there's something you love, you get a whole bunch of it. And then you go, oh, macaroni salad, a whole bunch of it. Oh, mashed potatoes, and pretty soon your plate does not look like this. So if you have to go to a buffet or a potluck or a party or something, go and be mindful. Scan, think about what's going to go on your plate first. So that's really helpful. So, all right. Let me just check the chats. Yes, Cheryl loves the Optavia desserts. And Vicki. Okay. So
Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
So one of the things that I was thinking is that on the 5-in-1, you're getting all of your vitamins and minerals inside of your fueling. But if you're obviously on maintenance, you're probably likely only getting 2 or 3 of those meals per day. And I realize obviously you're getting nutrients in your other foods, but I don't think it's the total amount. Would you suggest some type of a vitamin or you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like a supplement.
Yeah. It's really up to you. Like look at how you're eating. If you're filling your day with tons of veggies and healthy things, then you probably don't need a supplement. I always take a multivitamin, and I take a fish oil, unless you eat a lot of fish. I like to do a fish oil. I like to take a D vitamin, especially in the winter. I'd like to take a ester C, a C vitamin in the winter, like to avoid colds. So maybe just talk with your doctor or or if there's something that you're deficient in. I have to take iron because I'm low in iron. So you kind of, your doctor could probably tell you if you're deficient in something, but yeah, multivitamin wouldn't hurt. But I try to get 5 vegetables a day. That's my goal. I do 3 servings at dinner, and then at least one of my snacks, I like to do a vegetable, and then either breakfast or lunch, I add a vegetable too. So like, just make sure you're getting lots of vegetables, and you should be getting lots of vitamins that way, but taking a multivitamin isn't a bad idea, just to make sure you're getting what you need. So that's a good question, Karen. Okay, so I just wanted to go through the schedule of transition. So once you get close to your goal, I would talk with your coach when you're about 3 to 5 pounds away, kind of go over what transition looks like, just so you can kind of plan ahead. Once you hit your goal, I like for you to go 1 more week on 5 and 1 so that you have a buffer, like a 2-pound buffer, just in case you do gain a little bit of water weight. When you're eating more sodium, you might retain water, and so it's not very fun to like hit your goal and then go back up. So if you have a couple pound buffer, that always makes it a lot easier. So the first week's so simple. You still do 5 and 1, but you add 1 cup of your favorite vegetable. And that vegetable can even be a high carb vegetable. So you could do a sweet potato or carrots, a bag of baby carrots or something for that extra cup. I would not add that to your lean and green because that just makes that meal so big. I usually recommend like an omelet in the morning, or like I usually just say cut up some veggies and take it with you, like to snack on at lunchtime. So an extra cup of vegetables. Week 2, you're going to move to a 4 and 1, so 4 meal replacements and 1 lean and green. And then you're also going to, so each week you're going to continue doing what you were doing before, but add another fruit in. And we're starting with the lowest carb to the highest carb foods, and we're slowly increasing the calories, which gets your body acclimated to carbs slowly, so it doesn't start storing them because it hasn't been using carbs as energy during fat burn. And so if you all of a sudden add too many carbs, it just stores it. So we're just getting your body used to it. So transition is so important. I see a huge difference between my clients that get to their goal and don't transition versus people that actually do transition. They keep their weight off much easier if they do transition right. So if anything, even if you're not at your goal and you're going to take a break, transition so that you don't gain the weight back. And as much as it is for your body, it's for your brain. Because a lot of times you get to that goal and you're like, I'm done, pizza, donuts, like your body is craving. As soon as it gets sugar, it wants more. So like, it's training your brain of how to eat, what to eat slowly in those smaller increments. And it's so fun, like to add fruit back in and just really enjoy the fruit you haven't been eating and learn what to pair it with. So that second week, you're doing 4 meal replacements. So you're taking out one of the meal replacements, you're still doing your extra cup of vegetables, and you're adding 2 medium pieces of fruit, or 1 cup of fresh cubed fruit. So half a cup is 1 of your servings of fruit, or berries or melon. And remember that you always want to pair a protein with a carb. So you wouldn't just want to eat a banana without any protein, because that will spike your blood sugar. So that you're practicing pairing that with a carb or a protein. So you might have a cheese stick as part of your protein with an apple. And then for the other fruit, maybe you'll do half a cup of berries in one of your shakes. And that makes it simple. Just put some berries in a shake, and that's easier. Just have a meal replacement with a piece of fruit. So, and let me know if anyone has any questions as I'm explaining this. Go ahead and ask. The third week, we are still doing 4 meal replacements and your extra cup of vegetables and your lean and green. Sorry, my throat's drying out. All right. But you're going to add a serving of dairy. Now, if you didn't eat dairy before, don't feel like you have to add that in. You could do like almond milk or soy milk. Add that into one of your shakes. But it's really normal on week 2 to be hungry because your carbs or your calories are still low, but you're out of fat burn for sure on week 2. At week 1, you might still be in fat burn depending on the vegetables you're eating, but for sure on week 2, when you add the fruit back in, you're out of fat burn. And so it's common to be hungrier that week. So go ahead and add a little bit of extra protein that week if you need to, just to get through. But usually by week 3, it's a lot easier because you can add a Greek yogurt or some cottage cheese or a cheese stick. So you're getting that extra protein to help with the hunger. So any questions so far? All right.
I have a question.
Yes, Karen.
Sorry. When you said 4 and 1, are you doing the 6th meal with those extra things? Because it didn't. Okay, because I was a little confused.
Yeah. So you might be doing like a cup of cottage cheese with your peaches for one of your fruits, and then your other fruit, maybe you put some berries in one of your shakes.
Okay.
Okay. And then your extra cup of vegetable might be like a bag of cut up, a cup of cut up veggies with one of your bars, or maybe you'll add some green beans to your pasta primavera, something like that at lunchtime.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So week 4, 5, and 6. So on week 4, that is where you're adding grains in. That's your 4th week. So, and you're going to take out another meal replacement. So basically at this time, you're doing kind of a 3 and 3, 3 meals, 3 snacks. Those meal replacements can be your in-between snacks. And so this 4th week, you're adding a serving of grains. So like a piece of whole grain toast, a serving of oatmeal or something. And then you're also adding 4 ounces of protein. So it's kind of like you're doing a smaller lean and green like for lunch, because you're doing a cup of vegetables, 4 ounces of protein, and your fruit, and you have a grain. So you're kind of doing like 3 meals and 3 snacks. And I actually have a checklist that is helpful if you, I think it's in our files, but let me know. I'll post it. I'll put it in the files that you can print off and like check off to make sure you're getting all the foods you need. Because sometimes by that 4th week, there's just a lot of things to think about. But basically, it's 3 meals, and then you're doing your 3 snacks in between the meals that you can do for your meal replacements. And so you took out one of your meal replacements. You added 4 to 6 ounces of lean meat. I think it says 4 ounces in the Optavia guide, but since you can add an extra 2 to 3 ounces of protein anytime during your program, that's why it says 4 to 6. And then a serving of whole grain. And like I said before, try to do that grain earlier in the day so you're not adding those extra carbs, later at night. So any questions on that? Okay. And they recommend doing this for 3 weeks so that your body really adjusts to all the extra carbs. So once you get done adding the grains and you're adding all the food groups back in by week 4, then you continue to stick with that for week 5 and 6. And it's common that you might lose a couple more pounds during transition if you're really exact, and that's okay. Some people do, some people don't. And then on week 7, that's when we would adjust based on your T. And if you actually go to your coach's website under programs, and I think it's under 3 and 3, there's a T calculator. You could even just Google it or ask your coach to help you figure out how many calories you need to maintain your weight. So let's say that you're active and maybe you need 1,800 calories to maintain your weight. By week 4, you're eating about 1,500 calories. So that means that we need 300 more calories to maintain your weight. And so if you need more calories than 1,500, then each week you're going to add 100 calories per week until you're up to that 1,800 calories. And that would just be, you can add any food item, but 100 calories. So maybe you'll do an extra serving of cottage cheese or 100 calorie, piece of fruit, something like that. But the main thing is just always try to pair your protein and your carb together. And it's really important just to be monitoring. You can kind of tell, like if you keep losing after you get to that 1,800 point, then that probably means you need a little bit more calories. Your metabolism might just be a little bit faster. Or if you're gaining, it might mean that you just need to cut out 100 calorie, or just kind of go over your food options. Make sure that you're choosing, whole grains, or balancing that carb protein so that your body is not storing fat. Let's see. I know that's kind of a lot of information, but the nice thing is that you talk to your coach every week, and it's just step by step. Okay, this week, this is what you do, and you only focus on that. So, but that just kind of gives you an overview of what to expect. And these are just my top tips. Stay accountable. Even once you transition, still check in with your coach at least once a month. Make sure that, it might be just a quick text or a call. Hey, still keeping my weight off, keeping up with my healthy habits. Thanks for your help. Or, hey, I gained 2 pounds. Can we just go over my food log? I kept a food log for 4 days. Let's just go over it, make sure I'm doing everything right. Just stay accountable. Track your calories at first. Like for that first month after transition, it's good to track it. Go over that with your coach. Just make sure you got a pretty good balance of your carbs and protein. Add in exercise. Plan ahead for success. So making sure that before you ever leave the house, you have some healthy snacks. You grab a bar, or you have, a cutie orange and a cheese stick that you take with you, and your water. So and even meal planning. I love to just meal plan ahead of time so I don't get stuck with nothing to eat at dinner time and pick up pizza. Like if you plan ahead, then it's a lot easier. Use your fuelings as you need them. It makes it a lot easier to keep your weight off. Keep learning. So a lot of these we talked about, pay it forward, coach someone else, just to help you, because it's hard to go back if you're helping someone else move forward. So always working on your healthy habits. Let's see, I'm going to stop share and open it up for questions or any other suggestions or tips.
Okay, I have another question. So if you said the TE is your total energy expenditure, and let's say that's 1,800 calories. Do you are you potentially saying that even if I don't do this, I'm just curious. Even if you ate 1,800 calories worth of cookies, would you actually gain weight with that, even though you're at your calorie count? Who would do that? But I'm just saying.
I've done it, I'm sure. I think a lot of people have done that before. Maybe not all in cookies, but not in healthy food. So, so there is the science of calories in, calories out, but that doesn't take into effect your blood sugar. So your body's storing that faster, like if it's not balanced. So some people are active enough that they don't gain it by eating 1,800 calories of junk. But for me, like when I was trying to lose weight before I found the program, I was counting calories. I was keeping it at 1,200 and still not losing a pound or slowly going up. So it just kind of depends on the person. Some people, like, it's hard to tell exactly what your metabolism is doing unless you go and get, like a specific test for your metabolism. So another thing that would play part in that, Karen, is inflammation. If your blood sugar spiked all the time, your inflammation's high. And whether you're gaining a little bit of weight or just not able to lose it, it's really hard to lose weight when you have inflammation, and it's really easy to gain weight. So calories doesn't play an account like what's happening in your body with your blood sugar, with inflammation, how it's storing. But generally, if you have to burn 1,800 calories, like just to walk and breathe, and like for the exercise that you do, the activity that you do, usually your body would burn through your glycogen storage before you went to bed, before it stored it as fat. So generally, like scientifically, you shouldn't, but everyone's body is so different, so don't go eat 1,800 calories of cookies. But for sure, like tracking those calories, and always like on that T, underestimating your exercise. So if you think that you're very active, select active, just because it's good to like be under how many you need versus over, and then you can adjust. Like if you're still losing weight, then add that in. So Cheryl, in the chat, you asked, you continue doing the 1,500 calorie plan, like the week 4 of transition for week 4, 5, and 6. And then each week you add 100 calories in until you get to where you need to maintain it. So some men might be like 2,800 calories. So that would be like slowly adding 100 calories at a time every week until they got to that point. If they're losing too fast, then sometimes you might want to do like 200 calories at a time. Just kind of depends on the person. But I don't see that very often, that they keep losing too fast, that we have to speed that up. So generally you can follow that rule. So any other questions at all or suggestions?
Just one.
Yes.
I was thinking, so much of this 4 years down the road after losing, the bunch of weight, what happens when you're moving forward, it's always having a goal that's ahead. Like Jenny had said, that is important. Your goals are important. And having something that you're excited about and that you're working forward to, or else it's so easy to go back. A lot of the things start happening here, and we need to start thinking and using the same tools that we had with here, but it's more challenging when there's more food choices. And so staying close to your coach is excellent. But the learning part is like skyrockets. It just needs to, you need to stay thinking about health and thinking about thinking. It's like endless. It's like wonderful. There's so much to learn. So when you've lost the weight, keep learning, and stay close to your coach.
Yeah, listening to the Habits of Health calls or podcasts really help. But one thing also I want to mention is, even if you're a coach, you're not going to be perfect. Like, we still struggle. And so don't feel like you're a failure if you gain some of your weight back, or if you go through the holidays and put on, 5 pounds, or if you go on a vacation. It's okay to jump back on 5 and 1. And if you do it for less than a month, you can just do kind of a careful, transition, like just being careful. If you haven't been in fat burn for more than a month, you don't have to go through the 4 weeks of transition. But I love, like, after a vacation or after a holiday, even if I didn't gain any weight, like, that just helps me get back into those healthy habits, just to do it for a week or 2. So don't feel like you can't do that.
Can I add to what Vicki said too?
Yes.
I just love the idea of having that goal to work on. And I think having a healthy habit, like always focusing on the high 5 that you were talking about, and which habit, can I tighten up my habit, a little bit better. For example, so often we're thinking of weight goals. And so in weight loss, it's like, well, my goal is, I want to lose this much weight. Here's my next goal. Here's my next goal. And once we're in maintenance, we don't have those goals anymore of losing certain amounts of weight, numbers on a scale. But that's one reason it's so important, as clients, that we have other goals with our habits that we're working towards, because, once we're working on that healthy lifestyle, that long-term health, we want to be continuing to work on those habits. How am I doing with my water? Do I need to improve on my sleep? And it's really hard to be perfect in all of those areas for your entire life. And so, that's something that we can really focus on as far as continuing with our goals, always just having goals with those habits.
Yep. Always have the next goal in mind. Celebrate the first victory and then start working on the next. But I'd say, really the best service that you can give a client is having them become a coach. It really serves them more than anyone else, because it keeps them on track. So if keeping their weight off long-term is really important to them, make sure you're offering that, because it benefits, like, even if the financial aspect, which is amazing, isn't something they need the accountability. They need the structure. Like, it just benefits them so much to pay it forward. And so that's why, make sure you're offering that, because it's really a gift. So that's one thing that I'm very grateful for. But all right, well, I'm thankful that you guys all jumped on and had your questions answered. Thanks for contributing your ideas. It's so fun to work together and learn from each other. So, hopefully this helps. Transition is amazing. It's really just the next step in your health journey. It's not the end, of that weight loss journey. Yes, that part ended, but it's just the beginning of, living an optimal life. So thanks for jumping on. Let us know if you have any questions, or if you need any of the resources that we shared. We can share that with you also if you want to reach out and ask for that. Have a good day.